Thank you everyone for being here with us today. I am Natasha Nikic, Paul's oldest daughter. In 2008, when I stood up here to deliver my grandmother Prena's eulogy, right here in the front row where my sisters are sitting today, my dad was watching and listening. After Mass was over, he came to me and he said, "When I die, can you do that for me?" So today, I share with you the Paul Nikic story. On June 25th, 1949, my father was born, Pavle Nikic. He was raised in Zogaj, Ulcin, with little bread and much heart. I'm so thankful because about 2 years ago, my brother took the time to interview him, and he shared with him all his wise words. He shared that he mostly ate jam with bread divided amongst his 12 siblings, and they all squeezed together in a tiny house. His family lived on a farm where they raised cattle and sheep. His dad passed suddenly at the age of 54 when Pavle was only 4. Their life changed dramatically and they had suffered. My grandmother had to leave the home, and he later became an orphan and lived with a nice family. But he ran away and went back home because he missed his siblings. He stopped going to school in the 3rd grade, and he began to work at a young age. One of his first jobs was cleaning ships for just a couple of dollars a month. He was enlisted in the Army at age 16, and of course, according to him, he was not the first, because remember, he's humble, but he was the 2nd best 500-meter sniper in my group. In 1967, he went with his brother Mark to an immigrant camp in Austria. He worked in a hot metal factory for almost a year. He also lived in Italy for a year with 2 beautiful sisters from my Aunt Mada's town. He hitchhiked between different countries, but on his way back to Montenegro, he couldn't get a ride. So he walked home for 29 days. He returned home to make money by chopping wood, selling bullets and guns. This is a man of determination, a man of perseverance, and a man of resilience. He told my brother during the interview his main goal in life was to survive, to be proud, be tough, never be feared, and never get punked. In the 70s, many of his family made it to the US, and so did he by buying his own ticket to America and landing at JFK Airport. Approximately 3 to 5 months after his arrival in the US, he met my Aunt Vera at a feast and introduced him to my mom, the beautiful Sophia Krasnick. My mom said she liked him because he was tall, dark, and handsome. She only had one concern. He was missing his top left tooth. My aunt said she never noticed this, and later I asked my dad, and his response was, "No one ever knew he was missing his front tooth because I always have a cigarette in there to hide it." So under the condition that he fix his tooth, she married him in 1974. My dad was in love with this beautiful woman, and for some odd reason, he called her Sonia. Sonia never really had a chance to go out before they got married, only one time. With the help of her sister Vera, they snuck out, and he took her on their very first date to the movies. My mom was so excited. She thought, wow, here's this hot stud and he's bringing me to the movies. And as romantic as my dad is, he brought her to see a Bruce Lee karate movie. So they married and together had 4 children. Although one of his proudest moments was to have his boy, he loved us each equally and gave us all the same opportunity. He always said, "My boy is my boy, but my girl is also my boy." He reminded us that often growing up, and he said we could do anything we put our mind to. Never think what other people are gonna think. Just do what makes you happy. He says having children was his motivation to work and most worth the effort because they are a representation of you at the end. My dad valued his home and his children since his parents weren't around growing up. Even though my grandma was alive, she wasn't able to see him. So she would sneak by the bushes near their home and try to bring him chocolates and socks. Although she was not around, her maternal love had never faded, and he knew that deep within. During his last trip to Montenegro in 1983, with the help of my Uncle Frank, they found her living in a cemetery. Via Mexico, they brought her here, and she lived with my dad to help raise us. He was a man of heart, and he expressed his love for her by bringing her back into everyone's life. He was so proud of the first grandchild carrying his name. Marian was born on June 24th at 6:25 p.m., just a day before my dad's birthday. So when my dad came into the room to meet his grandson for the first time, I said, "Dad, I'm so sorry. I wish I could have waited another day and had the baby would have been born on your birthday." And he said, "What are you talking about? In Montenegro, it's 6 hours ahead of time right now, so it's my birthday." That was another unique quality of my dad, having a different perspective. In his free time, he loved soccer, was a chess player, golfer, and reader. For someone that went to the 3rd grade, he was the smartest self-taught man I ever knew. And as the famous poet Oscar Wilde said, "The truth about the life of a man is not what he does, but the legend which he creates around himself." Pavle Nikic is a legend that will never be forgotten. In the last few years, and even on the last day of his death, he came to my house and he said to me, "Please don't cry when I die. Instead, I want you to dance, sing, and play music." The only thing he said he missed in life were his relatives that passed before him. So together, they will reunite in the heavens, and we will celebrate his life and remember the legacy he leaves us. One of his famous quotes was, "You're born to live, and you live to die." His interpretation of this was to live how you want to live, because you have one life to live. Do it as you wish. Don't be a follower. Followers are failures, and never compare yourself to anyone else. And to all of you, from my whole family and from my dad, thank you, Fala, Faliminers. I love you, Daddy-o.